Hola, so today we're doing apuntes about prepositions in Estar. And I know that many times notes at this level deal with one major topic. But I think you're going to find that prepositions go so tightly with Estar that you kind of need to know how to use both of them together. And so we're going to be talking about prepositions, what they are, how you use them, and then how you use Estar with prepositions, and even how Estar can be used in other situations besides just with prepositions. So let's go ahead and move on to prepositions a little bit more. So one of the ways to learn prepositions I've found is this really great rhyme. As a general overview of what prepositions are, we have prepositions in English, Spanish has prepositions, probably every language on earth has prepositions. Maybe they call them something different, but they serve the same purpose. So prepositions indicate location and position. So it tells you how one item is physically related to another. Is it to the left of it, to the right of it, inside of it, behind it, whatever. So let's go ahead and take a look at this really great rhyme that helps us learn the prepositions. Go ahead and do the gestures with them, play this several times over, and I think you'll find that it may seem a little silly doing gestures with a video and repeating words with a video, but you're going to learn them really quickly.
Izquierda, derecha, delante, detrás, cerca y lejos y algo más, abajo, arriba, enfrente, encima. Y ahora, muchachos, se acaba la rima.
Let's go ahead and try that one more time.
Izquierda, derecha, delante, detrás, cerca y lejos y algo más, abajo, arriba, enfrente, encima. Y ahora, muchachos, se acaba la rima.
And you can feel free to do that rhyme as many times as you like. You can pause the video and keep on going back to it. But we are going to move on to more prepositions. So preposiciones. I'd like you to take a moment and fill in as many of these as you know. So go ahead and pause the video and do as many as the preposition translations as you know. Okay, hopefully you were able to fill in a couple of these. If not, that's okay. So the first one we have al lado de, which is next to, and then dentro de, which is inside. And then for the rest of these, I'd like you to notice that for most of them, they're going to be opposites. So cerca de is close to or near to. Alternatively, lejos de on the right is going to be far from. And that's going to be the case for pretty much all of these. So debajo de is underneath or under, versus encima de, which is above or on top of. Delante de, you can also, some people use enfrente de, is in front of, versus detrás de, which is behind. Arriba is up, abajo de is down. A la izquierda de, to the left of, versus a la derecha de, to the right of. And then aquí, here, versus allá, which is like over there. These last two aren't opposites, but we have entre de, which is between, and then en, which is in. So just remember that preposiciones or prepositions will tell you physically how one thing is related to another. So now we're going to move on to the verbo estar. And like I said, prepositions and estar, you often use them together. Prepositions aren't a whole lot of good from my experience without the verb estar, but estar has a ton of uses that I'm sure you'll continue to learn as you continue to study Spanish. So el verbo estar. In order to use the prepositions we just learned, we first have to learn how to conjugate the verb estar. Estar means to be, which if you've already learned about ser, you're sitting here thinking, but we already learned a verb that means to be. You'll find that ser and estar are totally different. They both mean to be, but you really need to separate the usages more than you need to just learn about translation. So for right now, and like I said, estar has a ton of other meanings. we're going to be using estar to talk about only location and feelings, at least where we're at right now and with these notes. So we take the verb estar. It is irregular. So we have yo estoy, tú estás, notice the acento above the A, él, ella, usted, está, nosotros, estamos, notice there's no accent. So essentially we have yo estoy and nosotros estamos, and neither of those have accents. And you're going to notice the other four forms, the bottom two rows will. So vosotros estáis, and then ellos, ellas, ustedes están. So those are your conjugations of the verb estar. So I'd like you to take a moment and fill in the conjugations for down below the examples, I am and we are. Hopefully for I am you put yo estoy or just estoy. For we are, hopefully you put nosotros estamos or at least estamos. So here are some examples of how you use estar in sentences, because I know that learning charts is awesome, but unless you're able to use estar to actually speak in sentences, it's not going to do you a ton of good. So here are some examples of using estar in a sentence. So we said, yo estoy lejos de la cafetería. Using the chart I just showed you and the prepositions from a little bit earlier, I'd like you to tell me what that means. And the same with Felipe está en el auditorio. So go ahead and pause the video and fill in your answers. For yo estoy lejos de la cafetería, we've got I am far from, which is lejos de la cafetería. And I'd like you to notice the use of de, lejos de la cafetería. And some of you are thinking like far of the cafeteria, but that's just how the usage works in Spanish. Oops, sorry about that. So the second one, Felipe está en el auditorio. Felipe is in the auditorium. And if you were using es, stop using es, stop using ser. That's why we're talking about estar. So we're talking about estar, which is super different than ser, again, as a reminder. So let's kind of move forward. Some important rules about how to use estar, specifically with prepositions. The first thing, to say you are at a place, like I am at the auditorium or I am at school, you're going to use the word in. And perhaps you're thinking about using a, because I know that this maybe it's the concept's a little bit confusing. Don't use a because it means to. So just be aware of that. I know when you're learning time, a las is like at a certain time, but this is a very different usage. So if you want to say you're in the gymnasium, you'll say something like yo estoy en el gimnasio, not a el gimnasio. Second major rule, you're going to use the word de after pretty much all of these prepositions. And you probably noticed that when you were writing down prepositions in the chart earlier, that it had de after all of the words. So after the location word is mentioned, you're going to use de. For example, la mochila está a la derecha de la puerta. Notice we have the prepositional phrase a la derecha, then de, and then before you list the place that it's to the right of, you'll put de. So de la puerta. La mochila está a la derecha de la puerta. The backpack is to the right of the door. And that's why we have the de there, to the right of something. De means of. Another important thing to keep in mind is when the word de is followed by the word el, they form together the contraction del. So anytime you're going to use a prepositional phrase with a singular masculine noun, you're going to form del. So for example, el reloj está encima del pizarrón. So what happened here is it had encima de, and then el pizarrón, of the board. So they form together to form above of the board, but above the board. So just remember, anytime in anything you're writing de and el next to each other, they're going to form del. Okay, let's get you some actual practice because you've kind of got the tools to get started at this point. You're going to fill in the following sentences with the correct versions of conjugations of estar. So remember, you've got 6 forms of estar that you're working with, and then you're going to write the English version. So let's do the first 3 before you do all of them. First one we'll do together. So ella, what verb are you going to put there? What form of estar? If you look at your chart, you're going to use ella está en el gimnasio. And then you're going to translate that to mean she is in the gymnasium. Go ahead and pause the video and do 2 and 3, and then you'll correct your answers, of course. So, número 2. Tú estás a la derecha de la puerta. You are to the right of the door. Número 3. Nosotros estamos cerca del baño. We are close to the bathroom. We're just going to continue with that practice. So go ahead and continue with 4, 5, y número 6. Ten cuidado, número 5. Be careful with number 5. That one's a little bit tricky, so think very carefully about what form of estar you're going to use on that one. Again, go ahead and pause the video and check your answers in a moment. So, número 4, we have yo estoy en la clase de inglés. I am in English class, or in the class of English. Número 5 is the one I asked you to be careful on. So be really careful here. This comma and question mark sequence indicates that you're talking to Señora Rubio. So you're not talking about her, you're talking to her. So if you need to adjust something, go ahead and pause and adjust it right now. So I'm wondering if many people put ella, the ella form of estar. Make sure you use the usted version. You're talking to somebody with whom you should be formal. So, Señora Rubio está en la oficina. Are you in the office? But we're not using the to form to say you. We're using the usted form because we're talking to somebody formally. So, Mrs. Rubio, are you in the office? Número 6. Mis maestros están en la biblioteca. My teachers are in the library. So hopefully this is giving you a little bit of a start, a little bit of confidence about how to use estar in a sentence. Okay, so for número 7 y 8, you're actually going to be now writing these in Spanish. So take a moment, use your notes and prepositions on estar, and do your best to write these in Spanish. And go ahead and pause your video here while you write your answers. So número 7, I'm in the classroom. You should have yo estoy for I am, en el salón or la clase, or you can use the word la aula también. Número 8, you all for Spain, so you should have vosotros estáis, are next to, al lado del pasillo. And the reason we have del is that next to is al lado de, and then hallway is el pasillo, so you have de and el next to each other, so they form del pasillo. Same thing with 9 and 8. These ones are a little more challenging, so I want you to, again, take your time, pause, check your answers. So for número 9, we've got the library is far from the office. So la biblioteca is our library. Está is our is. Está lejos de la oficina. Far from the office. So lejos de la oficina. For número 10, they are between the bathroom and the library. So you're going to go with they are. So ellos están between, entre, del. And the reason, again, it could be of del is because we had entre de and then el baño. So entre del baño y la biblioteca. So you've done a little bit about how to write sentences using estar, declarative sentences. Now let's see how you can do with using donde, which is an interrogative, a question word of how to use estar. So donde means where, and I'm sure lots of you knew that. It's often used with the vocab word estar. You probably hear donde está, donde está, donde están, donde estás. And that's the most common usage of donde, where. And then obviously you're talking about, if you're talking about where, you're talking about location, which is what estar is all about. So it is often used with the verb estar when asking where a person, place, or thing is located. So we've got a couple examples. ¿Dónde está Marcela? Where is Marcela? And then our answer, ella está en casa, she's at home. ¿Dónde están mis libros? Where are my books? And the answer, tus libros están en tu escritorio. Your books are in your desk, or on your desk, either way. So now we're going to talk about using estar with adjectives, and this is what we're going to kind of finish up with. This has nothing to do with prepositions. So adjectives, estar is also used with adjectives to say how someone feels at any given moment. Remember, you don't use estar with adjectives like rubio or bajo. So why not? If you've learned about rubio and bajo descriptive adjectives, you know they deal with the verb ser. So like soy rubia, él es bajo. So those are ser. But those are long-lasting characteristics. Estar is very much used, so you use those with ser. Estar should only be used with adjectives that are temporary. So if you are feeling sad right now, or you're feeling happy, or you're feeling really tired, those things can change, and that's when you're going to use estar. So we're talking about temporary adjectives. So important, one thing, notice when I said yo soy rubia, you still need to use non-adjective agreement. So if I wanted to say I'm tired, you'd say yo estoy cansada. And we're going to be using proper noun adjective agreement. Anytime you're using adjectives, whether you're using it with ser or estar or other verbs, you still need to implement proper noun adjective agreement so that your noun agrees with your adjective in terms of gender and number, etc. So let's get you a little bit of practice here. So el maestro, what form of estar would you use for el maestro? Go ahead and do these examples and then also tell me what they mean in English. So el maestro está tranquilo. The teacher is tranquil or calm. Either one of those would work great. Las chicas están cansadas. The girls are tired. And notice cansadas. We've got las chicas están cansadas. So we made sure to make our word cansado change to agree and gender with las chicas, and in number actually. So for actividad say, you're going to be filling in the following sentences with the correct form of estar, and then you're writing the English. So just keep going there. Go ahead and pause and then check your answers. So número uno, mis padres, my parents, están enojados. My parents are mad. And again, notice we agreed enojados with my parents. Mi amiga y yo estamos nerviosas. And again, we agreed nerviosas. My friend and I, my female friend and I, are nervous. And then do the last couple, please. Pause and then check answers. So we have ella está triste. She is sad. Yo estoy deprimido. I am depressed. And that's how we now have two different uses of estar. You can use estar with prepositions, and you can use estar with adjectives to talk about how you're temporarily feeling. So let's go ahead and wrap up. Anytime you are talking about location, make sure you're using the word estar. Make sure you're not using ser, which is a really big tendency of students at this level. Número dos, you're going to frequently use estar with prepositions to tell them where one item is in relationship to another. So remember, prepositions tell you about location and how one item is related to another. Número tres, you'll also use estar to talk about how people are feeling at any given moment. And you know this. You know to ask cómo estás, estoy bien, but maybe now you know a little bit more about why, and now you also know some other forms of estar. Thanks for paying attention. Gracias y hasta luego.